Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN.
Hey,
Shalom.
How are you?
Hello, handshake, very formal.
Yes, good. Well, we're formal because we're at the Albert Hall on Friday night, and I feel very grown up. So,
what's the attire for Friday night? I'm sensing dinner suit, bow tie.
Listen.
A little bit butler.
I'm not going to wear a dinner suit just because I don't like wearing dinner suits, but I think it will be smart. It has to be smart at the Albert Hall. They've got a certain dress code. There's the bencher seats. It feels like pretty special. And I've been once before, and I think for me, this is a standout date in the calendar. It's exciting. You don't get to usually do new things as a promoter. So to promote the Albert Hall on Friday night, I'm genuinely really excited about. And just seeing the card, then going through the card, I was getting shivers. Like the amount of talent on the card and the amount of 50-50 fights is pretty astonishing, and yeah, it's going to be spectacular in there on Friday.
Right, Honesty Corner. Is Lauren playing tricks on Tasha Jonas by not turning up yesterday to their face-to-face? It's quite a good tactic, making someone wait on fight week.
I don't think so, although
it doesn't seem like
I don't think so. No. I don't think so. And maybe someone's obviously given them the green light to miss it, which I'm not happy about. So someone, and I don't want, has given them the green light to not come. But obviously we're all there thinking that she is coming. So even the team, my team, and everything like that, they wasted their time. So Lauren wouldn't do that. She is the ultimate professional, and so is Rob McCracken. But it adds to it, and obviously Joe was not happy. He's not been happy all week. He's definitely on smoke. Everything is an issue this week. I've seen him berating half of the team. But that's Joe Gallagher, and he's here to ensure Natasha Jonas wins, and he's here to make sure everything is fair, everything is legit. And it just makes... What's great about this fight is it's two great trainers as well, who, although won't say it, there's huge competition between the two of them. Huge competition. And that's a subplot of this main event.
Are you kind of on tenterhooks when you're around Joe? Because you have had a bit of a rocky...
I think Joe keeps everyone on their toes. In fairness to Joe, he's one of the first people I knew in boxing, because obviously we're from the same area. And so I used to go into Champs Camp when Ensley Bingham was there. Before, Joe's obviously gone. Joe was up in Bolton. I was promoting Sam Hyde. Or involved with Sam Hyde, who people might remember gave Richard Riatpour a good run for his money, could have won that night. And then he had a big bruise on his face. But anyway, so Sam was trained by Joe Gallagher, and I was with Sam before he went to Joe. And so I met him really young. I was in awe of Joe, because at the time he had the Smith brothers. It was unbelievable. Jim Crawler, Quigg. It was unbelievable what he did for Northwest Boxing at that time. He still is a fantastic trainer, unbelievable. And he was always really good to me. So I'll always remember what he was like when he didn't have anything to gain from me. So although now he's a pain in the arse and calls me out and talks shit if he's not happy and will come on and doesn't mind giving me grief, I'll always remember that he was helping me before nothing. So that's the measure of a man in my eyes, and so I'll take whatever shit he wants to throw in my ways. He's 100% behind all his fighters. He's competitive. He will do anything. He knows every trick in the book. He's been playing games all week, and what a legend, to be honest. And especially with what's going on, with his health, for him to be still here, the Joe Gallagher that we know, I would say we know and love and hate. I've known him for a long time. Probably one of my longest relationships in boxing. He brought me Natasha Jonas, who has been one of my first signings. Hadn't won a world title. This is a 7th consecutive world title fight. So it's been a good journey.
Right, picking this back up with Ben Shalom. You just had to do a little bit on the Sky Stream, just a touch more important than the Stomping Ground, unfortunately. So we were saying, I was putting to you that there's been, or do you feel there's been a bit of disrespect pushed towards Tasha Jonas, like Gallagher and their camp do? And what are we going to get in the ring? I know you're not going to pick a winner, but what sort of fight are we going to get?
I don't think disrespect. I do get the fact that Natasha's built her legacy, really. So she probably feels that maybe Lauren hasn't done enough to reward her with this fight, but such is women's boxing. Lauren's become a world champion, become the Ring magazine champion very quickly, and so it ended up the best fight in the division. What was the other question? What are we
going to get?
What are we going to get? We're going to get.
Can pick a winner.
We're going to get a 50-50 fight. It's we got. I think it's so evenly split. I was asking the guys around the tickets. I think about 2,500 from Wales and about 2,500 from Liverpool. So you can only imagine what it's going to be like in there. Hopefully, it will be calm, like the Royal Albert Hall deserves. But the noise is going to be special for that main event. I think throughout the card, there's 50-50 fights throughout it. They're all going to be wanting to steal the show. They're all going to be wanting to make their statement. From Fran Hennessy at the start to, I think then we go into Chloe Watson against Jasmina, Cindy Ngamba debuting against Kirsty Babington. That is unheard of, and she wants to put on a massive statement. Carrie Sargentstall against Raymond Chapman, 50-50 British title fight. Whoever wins that goes to world level. Caroline Dubois against, outside of her and Ferreira, 100% the best, I believe, the best lightweight in the world in Bomi Ray Shen, who is an aggressive fighter, and so that is going to be a firefight, and Caroline will be looking to put on a statement. And then the main event, so it's an unbelievable card. It's a special card. It's a historic card, and I know boxing fans, certain ones, don't always buy into women's boxing. But when they're 50-50 fights, when they're real scraps, when it's real names, this is important, and it's important for our sport. I genuinely believe that it's important for everyone. It has a halo effect. It makes the sport look like it's bigger and come a long way when you have women's boxing being able to do things like this. And the first ever female headline fight at the Albert Hall, over 100 years of boxing there. Really excited.
Bring it on. I like the even split of the tickets as well, kind of like FA Cup final day.
I think they've not got different ends.
Are they not?
No. So hopefully they just... I don't think so.
It'll all be all right.
It will be all right.
Obviously, you would have recovered from last week now. Only 2 press conferences, not the original 3 that we thought. Mad press conferences, mad media obligations as well. Who do you think come out looking better out of you and Mr. Hearn from last week?
What does it matter what I think? I always think Mr. Hearn comes across as a balloon. But what can I... a lot of people don't. So...
Is that £1 million in escrow? That's a heavy old bet, £1 million.
First of all,
7 figures.
I don't care. I don't mind Eddie. I don't mind anyone. I just get on with the business. I think people want me to get in a fight, and I think I see a lot of people say, "Why don't you stand up? Do you think I got to my position so through hard work, or by trying to pick a fight, or reacting to everyone that was trying to stop me get on the way?" You have to be smart, and I've not got so far by responding to shit. You have to be pretty single-minded. So that's one thing I would say. And then, what was the next question? I'm forgetting.
Just asked if there's £1 million in escrow.
Oh, I would take that bet, but I'm not allowed to bet. But I genuinely would take that bet. Would Eddie take the bet? No way. I would take that bet, and I don't listen. By the way, do I want to lose £1 million or want to risk £1 million? No, but I know I could probably bring a few people together and get that together, and everyone. And so, if he wanted that bet, it's there. If we can get that through the board, but you ask him, is he still willing to stand on that bet? Let's see. If he is, we'll do it. As long as I don't get into trouble.
Final one on that before we talk about Riyadh, which we haven't spoken about yet. How's Chris feeling now about all the week? Did you kind of speak to him after it all wrapped up and just said, like, what did he make of the 2 press conferences?
Chris is the same Chris. Chris takes things in his stride, doesn't think too deeply about the noise. He's quite a private guy. He doesn't actually watch boxing too much, doesn't really get involved. He doesn't really think anything of it. He feels he's above the noise. And he definitely performed last week. He performs every time, though. Every press conference I've ever been on the same table as him, he comes out on top. That's Chris Eubank Jr. And that's why the show's so big. He sold it last week. He said what he said. He meant what he said. It's a huge fight for his career. I genuinely believe, I said a lot about Conor last week, but Conor is a real fighter, a real explosive fighter, a young fighter as well. and he knows he's in a live fight, Chris, and so he's now focused on the fight, not the press conference. This is everything to him. He's going to be having a proper camp, and may the best man win. It's going to be a firefight. You know, for all the promotion, for all the nonsense, for all the crap, you've got two fighters here. It might not be for a world title, but if you want to see a scrap, you're going to see one, because these two like to fight. Look at their careers. They are the fighters. They are the brawlers. They love it, and they only know one way. And that's what's going to happen on April 26th. They're going to meet in the ring, in the centre of the ring, and they're going to go off. And that's why the casual fans are going to love this fight. Yes, the boxing fans will, but anyone that is just getting into boxing, you got two characters in a 50-50 fight. You know, it's a great event.
I can't wait for April 26th. Right, Riyadh, we didn't speak about it because of the mayhem of kind of jumping into that Manchester presser and the egg and whatnot. By the way, KSI doing a pancake instead of an egg. Did you see that?
I did.
He used the Eubank. He drew Dylan Dennis in. He used the Eubank sort of technique.
Yeah, you'd think Dylan would have seen that coming, but it looked vicious to me. But anyway, I don't watch. You watch all that nonsense. I don't watch that.
I hold my hands up. Yeah, Riyadh, Martin Bakole. Do you have any regrets?
Listen, it's not up to me. You know.
What about Eddie saying that the fight shouldn't have happened?
The manager, look, he was saying it was the best fight in the world before the fight. Right? So Eddie's going to say what Eddie's going to say. You can't. This is the thing. Sometimes when you ask me what Eddie said, it's almost irrelevant what Eddie said. Eddie will say what he's going to say. Whether if the sky is blue, it will be grey, and then it will change, and then it might be yellow, and then whatever the narrative is. So you got to park that one to one side. I think in all seriousness about Martin Bakole, you know, his trainer and manager wanted the fight, instructed me to make the fight. But, you know, on Twitter directly, I made sure that was the correct decision, and were they sure? You know, for me, you know, it was clearly a big risk for me, but that was something that they wanted to do. It was something that Martin wanted to do, and I have to deliver the opportunities. And the main thing is, as a promoter, I did my job. I made sure he's got his fight in May. It was obviously going to be a risk. It could have gone unbelievably and been the most historic moment in heavyweight history. He got caught on the top of the head. It's sent his equilibrium wrong. That doesn't usually happen. He's usually, you know, so that could have happened anyway. And so I don't want to make too many excuses. With a proper camp, it's very hard for Martin to get the fight. So now it actually might inadvertently be easier. And he saved the excitement, he saved the show, and I can't wait to see him back in May with a full camp and get back to what he does best.
Did Team Parker put a rematch clause in?
No, I think there was an attempt to. But there wasn't a rematch clause, and credit to Joseph as well. Look, they both took a risk. It was a crazy situation. Does it happen? No. Is this part of the craziness of Riyadh season? Yes. Was it one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen? Yes.
Flying in skinny jeans on Ethiopian Air, layover.
I said to him, why have you got those jeans on? They were tight. They would have been tight on me.
They were shocking as well, if we're honest. Sorry, Martin.
And then he's doing media. I said, go to fucking bed. He didn't even sleep.
I heard he was sleeping in the changing room.
I got back. Shit, you know. I got back. I thought, right, I've put him, because I wait for him at the hotel to make sure he got in bed. Because Martin doesn't think, and Martin is a fighter. And by the way, he could have genuinely won that night. What happened? So this is irrelevant. But he didn't even go to bed. An hour later, I'm seeing him posting a promo video of his trip on the plane. I'm thinking, what are you doing? Then he was up.
He's on CapCut on his phone.
Correct. Then he was up at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm trying to do the numbers of how many hours sleep he's had after a 24-hour plane trip. You have to laugh. It's not funny, but you have to laugh now. But Martin Bakole is the most dangerous man in the heavyweight division, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe he's going to become a world champion. I believe he's endeared himself to the fans now. And sometimes that was hard. It was like, who is Martin Bakole? People now know who Martin Bakole is. So that was half the battle. People now know who he is. He's going to get the fights. He's going to get the opportunities. He took the fight. It was what it was. And now we can really make a march on world titles. And yeah, his profile's gone through the roof, and you know, whatever you think of it, that's what's happened. He's earned life-changing money. He's a crazy motherfucker, 100%, absolutely mental. But that's what makes him who he is, and I can't wait to see him back out on May the 3rd.
Yeah, May the 3rd, because the Times Square card is 3 fights.
Yeah.
Martin fights on the Canelo card.
Yeah, I think look, I put it to Martin's team, and I think they prefer the Canelo card, the time zone, and that's just how it worked out with Turkey as well. And it's a massive card.
Joshua Buatsi, have you spoken to him since Riyadh?
Yeah, I have. Obviously, he's disappointed. It's not something he expected going into the fight. Callum Smith is a world-class fighter. It was a fantastic fight. People still talking about it. And I said, look, you might not have won, but you've shown you're a real fighter, and you want to be in 50-50 fights.
Ball.
Serious ball. He won't want too many of those in his career, but I'm proud of the way that he stood up and fought and really took it, and he'll be disappointed in his game plan. I know he is, but it was his first fight at elite level. Callum's won and lost at elite level. You learn so much from those experiences about your game plan, about who you are, about everything. Josh Buatsi will have learned a lot about himself that night, and that will stand him in good stead for those elite fights going forward. And he'll be back in the big fights.
Is Yard still interesting if he beats Lyndon Arthur? Surely.
Yeah, I think that's the fight to make. From what I can see, that's the fight that the fans want. That's the fight that makes sense. They both, need each other really, and it's a huge fight in the history there. And I think that was part of the reason why Buatsi took the Callum Smith fight, knowing that, thinking that he'd win, but knowing that the Yard fight was the big one and would be there. And hopefully after all this bloody time, it can happen this year.
Final one, Ben Whittaker and Andy Lee.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, really like it. I really like Andy.
They've got a really tight-knit unit. Did you see Joseph Parker on FaceTime to Paddy Donovan?
I know Joseph well, so I knew that team, and I met Paddy in Morecambe at Tyson Fury's house. And I always thought what a nice guy he was, but so innocent in terms of his ambitions. It wasn't about money. He wanted to get to the top and he wanted to win titles, and he wore his heart on his sleeve. And I remember meeting him that day, and this was 2 or 3 years ago, just at the start of his career, and thinking, wow, he's got he's really got a great mentality, and I've looked out for him since. So I watched it on Saturday night, and I was upset. It was like watching Liverpool and someone had scored in the last minute or someone had been sent off. I was fuming. I was pissed off, and he was clearly visibly upset because of how much it means to him. But he won that fight, and everyone knows he won that fight. And I'm a fan of Paddy Donovan, genuinely. So I want to see him. Whatever they can do with him, I'll be watching. I think he'll get the big fights. I spoke to Andy since, and they're in a good space now. And as you said, it's a tight-knit team, so to have Ben go in there, I'm really happy. At the end of we looked at, Ben was looking at different trainers, and I was, hoping that we were going to end up with Andy. I think he's going to suit his style. I think he's going to bring the best out of him. I think he's going to be great for him mentally. I think he's got that experience. I think being in the gym with Joseph Parker is fantastic. I think for me, and I've said it since he debuted, and people will take the piss out of me until Ben Whittaker's headlining box office shows and selling out stadium. He is the star of British boxing. He is coming through, and he's got a huge fight on April 20th. And with Andy in his corner, I hope that they can make a statement, and then it's bigger than ever. It's bigger than ever, and Ben Whittaker's bigger than ever. And he's still early on in his career, and what he's had to go through in terms of profile-wise has been phenomenal. Sometimes it's hard for me. I know I'm rambling on here, but because we started together, and the same with Caroline, it's weird because we're experiencing new things together. So I'm looking at Caroline on this top table, seeing her talk like the way she talks better than me, right? And she's more confident than I am up here, and she's giving it out. And I remember sitting down with Caroline at 20 years old, and she couldn't talk. She was so nervous. And so seeing, it's crazy. And she was a nobody. Obviously she'd been to the Olympics, did a medal, and now she, for me, is going to be the future face of women's boxing. So sometimes they're friends. And Ben Whitaker I class as a friend, and this whatever happened in October will be good for him and good for his soul and good for him as a person. And I know he's used the time really well to develop, to think, to understand himself more, to realise how brutal this game is, and now he is in the right place, in the right hands, and I'm really excited for April 20th.